Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, Masahiro Sakurai was the first to notice our camera work. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Connor McCabe. We've got a good show for you this week. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including Mr. Sakurai starting a YouTube channel and Nintendo's plans for PAX West. And then on Thursday, Mark and I are going to be beginning our ranking of the contiguous 48 tracks in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But in the meantime, Connor, how's it going?
Patrick, it's going so well. I gotta say, this is my third time on the show. That means that it's third time's the charm,
right?
That I'm going to be good finally.
Finally.
Yeah, I know.
Well, no, you're part of the Three Timers Club.
Oh, well, then that makes me feel better about it.
I mean,
yeah.
It's somehow materially different if you're part of a club.
Yes.
Versus it just being a thing that happened to you.
Yeah, now I have to be welcomed back, as opposed to before, as there was a slim chance that the door would just shut forever.
Right. Well, in the first time, for sure.
Yes. That was a risk.
It was a real risk. No, I feel like I knew you by the first time you were on the show,
enough,
right?
Definitely, yeah.
No, not a risk at all. Connor, thank you for stepping up and filling in Mark's absence. Actually, we are, this is breaking news. We are not going to do a news episode next week.
Wow.
There will be, there's a 2-part Mario Kart ranking coming up this Thursday and next Thursday, but we are taking, is it Labor Day? The one that's in?
Yep.
Labor and Memorial Day, I always get them mixed up.
I've finally figured it out this year.
Okay. How do you do it?
I can't even tell you what it was. I just, for whatever reason, I think I don't want to be working in September, which is not.
Do you want to be working in June?
Never. But for some reason, September is like the year is growing long. I really want to be just relaxing.
So that's why it's Labor Day.
Yes. Yeah. And that's going to be helpful to no one but myself.
Right. Maybe I will remember it as reverse alphabetically.
That works.
Because M comes after L.
Yeah.
This is actually making it worse.
And there's another reverse you might be able to remember it by. And then you would think that you might work first and remember later. But here in this situation, we're remembering first.
This is a real George Costanza justifying manure.
Yes.
You've got a newer, which is good. And a ma in front of it. Connor, if people are interested in borrowing my copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch,
yes,
they can do it. All they got to do is participate in the Sonic Forces borrowing program by emailing us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com, and you have to give us a mailing address where we can send you my copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch. You play it for as long as you want. You send it back. It doesn't cost you anything. There may be a copy of Untitled Goose Game in there. And that's fine.
It's part of it.
It's what part of it.
Might I even be so presumptuous to say it's part of what makes it the perfect borrowing program?
It is not for you or I, mere mortals, human men, to determine what makes the program perfect. It is just up to us to acknowledge that it is perfect.
This is true. Please forgive me for I've sinned.
I mean, how dare you? The other thing that you can do is you can give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. We love it when you do that, of course. But we can really only see those reviews if you are leaving them in the Apple Podcast Store in the U.S. If you are reviewing us anywhere else, if you are shouting us out anywhere else, if you are giving a star rating or hearting something or faving it or whatever other verbs exist in the internet age, we can't see that. So you should email us or hit us up on Twitter. Let us know so we can shout you out on this show. We appreciate it so much when you do. And then the last thing that you can do, and then we'll be done with business, Connor. We can start talking about games. It'll be fun.
But I like business.
Business is fun too. You should be in our Discord channel. That's where people are having fun, cool conversations about Nintendo stuff. The Discord right now, wild with Splatoon. They're nuts about it. Connor, have you seen them freaking out about Splatoon?
I have, so much so to where I said, I'm not sure if I'm going to be getting this game. I commented this in the Discord, see a real-life person can do it.
That's
and
right.
Everyone was like, you're a fool. Go get a copy.
I did bully you, I believe.
Yes.
at that
Which,
moment.
let's be real, I needed the occasional bullying, so thank you.
Yes. And so do you think you will be, are you now a Splatoonsman?
Let's just say by the time it rolls out, I think I'll be a Splatoonsman.
So you should get in the Discord. It requires an invite. So email us, hit us up on Twitter, and we'll be happy to send you an invitation. No weirdos in there, okay?
Yeah, so if you're weird,
if you're
don't
a weirdo,
ask.
No, if you're a weirdo, like ask, we'll let you in. And you'll be the first one. It'll be fine. All right, Connor, let's get into what we've been playing this week. And maybe we stay on Splatoon here for a second because the Splatoon 3 Splatfest, whatever it's called, the global
premiere
Splatfest, I think that's right.
Yeah.
Was this weekend. So, the game has not come out yet, but everyone could play in this rock, paper, scissors Splatfest. And I participated in it. Splatoon is always a bit of a mixed bag for me because I'm not great at it. I think because it shares so much kind of DNA with like first person shooters, and that's just not my style of gameplay. But I really had a fun time just like running around and repping Team Paper.
I love that. Well, and you answered the one question I had, which was...
Oh, I'm so sorry, Connor. Go ahead and ask it anyway.
Patrick, what team did you participate
Paper.
on? Oh,
I was on Team Paper.
Well, I'll go ahead and say that's the good team.
It was an okay team. I do think it's I always in like in Splatfests of Splatoon's past.
Yeah.
It's just two things, right? It is two objects, one versus another, ketchup versus mayo, and the divide between like how many people picked each of the two things was usually like there was like 51-49 or like
yes,
it was very evenly matched, and I feel like adding the third thing is an element of chaos where like there's no consensus, there's no backlash to the consensus. It's all just like people genuinely picking the one they want to rep. So like I believe Team Paper was like way underrepresented. There was like 20% of players in the Americas chose Team Paper. But like enough people were playing that it kind of didn't matter.
Okay,
you know what I mean? But yeah, it was a very fun time. I did not get to, so that the Splatfest now are like two phases, right?
The first phase where it's all three teams in full, and
no, that's the second. Well, yeah, kind of.
I'll let you tell me.
Yeah, I'll tell. So in the first phase, it's 1-on-1. So a paper team versus a whatever other team, and that's full teams, right? So
Gotcha.
four versus four, and it just randomly matches you against either a rock team or a scissor team, and then halfway through it becomes the tricolor thing where the team that's in the lead gets all four of them and they go in the middle of the map, and then two players from the second and third place teams come in from the other side representing just their team by themselves. And that's the part that I did, and the most unique part, the part that would be novel and interesting to have played, and then therefore talk about on this show, that I did not get to participate in.
Was doing
that part.
Yeah.
Because
they didn't include it in the...
No, so it is part of it. It's just because all of it is so contingent on the time that you're playing.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And it was all happening on Saturday. And Saturday evening, Connor, I was at your place.
You were playing video games.
We were playing video games. We were playing fighting games. Let's actually use that to transition into the little bit of fighting games that we played at your house this weekend. We played Super Smash Bros. Melee.
We did.
We played Ultimate.
We played... Well, this isn't... Are we allowed to name non-Nintendo games?
We can name non-Nintendo games, but Connor, we better not dwell on it.
Okay, I won't dwell on it, but you did teach me how to play Power Stone.
I did teach you how to play Power Stone. And look, I put Power Stone in a lot of people's hands on Saturday night, and every single one was like, why don't they make more of these?
It was so much fun. You were really you're really evangelizing that evening.
I really, yes. I mean... I have my little pet projects.
Yes, of course. The
little games that I won't shut up about. Power Stone, definitely one of them.
That's a good choice, though.
What else did we play?
There was Mortal Kombat 11, I want to say. There was a lot of Guilty Gear Strive was quite the But it was perhaps the game of the evening.
I believe you. It was the game of the evening. I didn't get hands on sticks on that one.
Nor did I.
But I was blown away by the presentation of it.
Mm-hmm.
It has it's got looks like an anime
Yes.
style, but pulls it off so confidently that like it's one of the, when I'm watching it, I don't know how it's done.
Yeah.
Like it's just bewildering.
It absolutely is. And I was also captured by the presentation as well.
Yes. And we played a little bit of Dragon Ball Fighter Z as well.
Yes, that was fun.
Which is pulls off the same trick pretty well. But I think Guilty Gear does it better.
I think so. Yeah. I don't know if it's because I'm familiar with how Dragon Ball animation generally looks.
That's a good point.
And this Guilty Gear was more surprising, but I felt the same way.
But that was all delightful. It put me in the mindset of like I should be playing more fighting games.
Yeah.
But if you want to play like serious fighting games, it's like you gotta not. That's not a Nintendo conversation.
No, it's not.
That's a PlayStation conversation.
It is.
So we'll move on from that. I just one thing I want to mention that I want to hear about your Chrono Trigger adventures.
Yes.
I finished Picross S2 this weekend.
Wow.
Like finished it, all the puzzles, all done and gone.
Oh my goodness. We need a round of applause right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm imagining it.
Yeah, me too. Wait. Yeah, me too. There are like 6 of these things, and this
Yes.
I'm beating now the second one. But my buddy Andrew has been playing Picross S2 as well. So every now and then I'll see him like sign in, and that always triggers me to be like, oh yeah, Picross, I should play Picross.
Similar thing happens for me in Tetris 99, a game I know you're very familiar with
yes,
and very
familiar
adept at.
Yes. Do you see like me and July hop in there?
Yes,
Yeah.
and I'll just feel like, oh, I haven't had that adrenaline rush in a while. Let's go ahead and do it.
It always thrills me to see a July pop on playing
Yes.
Tetris 99. I'm like, yes, all right, I'm going to do it too.
Very good.
And maybe we'll be in the same pool of 100
Just
Tetrising against each other.
duking it out.
That's a real like ships in the night thing.
Yeah.
That's a real Feifel and his sister sleeping underneath the same moon.
Oh,
Somewhere
my
out there.
goodness, Yes.
It's the American
Tale?
the American
Yeah.
Tale. I was gonna say the American Dream, but Connor, that's not right.
No, and I was thinking American Beauty, which is further wrong.
Yes, but if American Beauty was all mice, all like Russian immigrant mice, I'd be into that.
Okay, there we are.
Connor, tell me about playing Chrono Trigger.
Well, this journey goes all the way back to May 2022 when I decided it was finally time for me to finish.
All the way back to May. We're talking about a game that came out in like 1996,
yes.
right?
Well,
Okay.
if I will take us back further, we can go back to I think sometime in the summer of 2003 where I discovered emulation for the first time.
Yes.
And Chrono Trigger was the highlight of that discovery. It's a game that since then I have spent a lot of time with. I have started probably upwards of 6 times, but have never finished, both on the Super Nintendo version and the DS copy.
Mm-hmm.
This year I decided it was time, and I really just thoroughly enjoyed my time with this game. It was already one of my favorite games, having not gotten past the 2/3 point, and might be my favorite Super Nintendo game now, having finished it.
Whoa.
It was just incredible throughout. The pacing is impeccable. I mean, we've heard the praises of this game.
And we'll do it again.
And we will do it again. So here we go. But I finished it last night. Of course, sent you a picture of it.
Mhm.
Was bragging to everyone I could. Put it on my Instagram story. And I just, it was kind of unreal to finally get there.
Yeah.
I got a little choked up at the end once it was done.
Yeah, you're like Ahab having caught the whale.
Yeah.
I don't know how Moby Dick ends.
I would assume
I would assume
a
he
whale's
doesn't
caught.
catch the whale.
Yeah, maybe they agree to disagree at the end of it.
Yeah, they just like shake hands and walk in opposite directions.
One
The
giant,
whale walks.
Yes, one giant fin and one tiny hand.
You said there's a normal roadblock for you 2/3 of the way through the game.
Yes.
Can you identify / describe the roadblock?
Yes, now, so I can identify it now. At the time, it was before when I was originally telling you about it. It was a little fuzzy. It is when you go to the distant past. I believe it's 12,000 BC, where Janus is at, and
Yes.
so is Queen Zeal.
Yep.
That when I would get to that area, there was a boss. I don't remember if it was your first time there or your second time there. That I remember in one DS playthrough, I had like locked myself past a save point in a certain area, and I either couldn't figure out the pattern to the boss, who I needed to bring, or I was underleveled.
Right. Or a fun combination of the three.
Yes, which I would grow to suspect, or I would think that it's not an underleveling issue, because that game famously does a great job of just having you where you need to be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good like point to identify as like one of, because I think there are actually a couple like stumbling blocks in a great game, like you say, like almost perfectly paced, but that almost, like the asterisks in that almost, can be stumbled upon and stumbled over and make you quit out of the game.
Yes.
I think the first time for me, the stretch in the distant future, like the early stretch in the distant future, can be a real drag.
It's so bleak, and you had mentioned this to me before I had gotten to that part in this playthrough months ago at this point, because I did put it down around July 4th once I got to the end game and just picked it back up.
Mm-hmm.
But not only is it bleak, but that is one part of the game I would actually say is a little bloated and could maybe be cut down by a third. They really keep you in that dark stretch for a long time.
And like you go into multiple like dungeons that are all basically the same, where it's just like ruined future, like electronic stuff, and there are rats, and it's like, oh my god, I'm still doing this.
And you know what? One guy that's also part motorcycle can't make up for that on his own.
No, and look, Johnny. Look, Johnny's very cool.
Cool.
There's a character in Live Alive that reminded me so much of this motorcycle Johnny guy that I was like, are these the same character, like just split between two different games? I went back and compared them and like, no, I'm wrong. but there's a similar spirit in the near future section of Live Alive. That really like tickles me.
I did play started the demo to that game. Fully plan to play it at some point, maybe around the holidays once I'm further away from Chrono. But I started with the distant future part of that game
with the little robot boy.
With the little robot boy.
I love that little robot boy.
I liked him.
He's good. He's good.
Really good.
Connor, what else have you been playing?
I've been playing a lot of Mario Kart lately, both Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which I just truly can't tell you how excited I am to hear the ranking episodes. But I've been playing that because I to keep a long story short, have been without a copy of that game since December. Finally got it again, so I've been going through that. I've also been playing a lot of Double Dash, but more importantly, I've been revisiting New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe for the Nintendo Switch. Been playing this with my girlfriend. She recently was like, can we play a game together? Because one night, I think hanging out, I was like, I want to play something. She's like, what if we played together? Which we do. It's not like I don't. We play a lot together.
No, game time is Connor time.
A lot of Super Monkey Ball, a lot of Double Dash. But we got this game out because she mentioned that she likes this side-scrolling 2D Mario game. So I first turned on Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Conquest, and she said, this is not what I want. And so we started playing the game.
A woman after my own heart, I must say.
Oh, no, you're not a DKC2 fan.
No, I'm not really a DKC2 fan, and I'm a DKC3 apologist.
We have so much more to discuss. But long story short, it's been so much fun to revisit this game. I did play it all the way through when the port came out on the Switch, and it's really fun to play with someone who is new to all the fun of that. I really like this game. I feel like from what I hear from others, it's lower on the 2D Mario rankings, but I really am a big fan.
But it is like, it's high on the list of new Super Mario Brothers games, right? Like if we're looking at the series, the DS, the Wii, the 3DS, which is New Super Mario Brothers 2, and then the Wii U one. The Wii U one is kind of like the champion of those four. I
can only speak for the one on the Wii, which you and I have discussed before on a podcast. So
that's right.
I missed the 2DS, well, the DS and the 3DS version I haven't played. But until this year, never played a new Wii, which I also like, but I like you better.
Yes. Connor, how funny is it that I completely forgot you and I recorded that podcast, just the two of us,
It was
about New Super Mario Brothers U?
because it happened in the blink of an eye. It must have been a last minute request, and you obliged. And I think by this it was April. It was I want to say so a while ago.
Well, shout it out. Where can people find it?
They can find it on our Patreon over at patreon.com/supernpcradio. This is a Call Me By Your Game co-op episode, so it's the monthly version of my show that I do that lives on our Patreon.
And even though we were discussing a 4-player game, it was just the two of us discussing it.
And I had only played that game solo, which is not how it's meant to be played at all.
But then you also talked about Portal 2 after only playing it solo too, right, Connor?
Yes, I did.
Connor.
Still have not touched the co-op, but I know that apparently you and Mark are going to be playing that, or have you played a little co-op?
We have not played any of it yet, but I was waiting for him to finish the original Portal first.
Yes.
Which he has done now. So when Mark gets back in town, we've got a date to play Portal 2 together.
This is so exciting for me that you two are doing this. I love that.
We can also, here's the thing, the Portal 2 multiplayer experience is so good that I'm happy to play it with anyone as many number of times as possible.
I'm going to go ahead and pocket this right now.
Yeah, pocket it right now.
Yeah.
You can redeem that whenever, Connor.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, that's what we've been playing. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week. So not a lot of games coming out in the next week that I'm interested really in talking about, with one notable exception, a big one coming out today, Tuesday, August 30th. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Cowabunga collection, comes out on Switch and every other platform there is.
Cowabunga indeed.
Cowabunga indeed. I feel like I'm still riding high from the Shredder's Revenge of earlier this summer. Really just like, that was June that came out?
I
June,
think,
July,
mid to early June.
Well, a game that I absolutely loved, and I know a game that's going to make these classic games look that much worse when we go back to playing them. But I'm unreasonably excited for the Cowabunga collection.
And are you certainly getting this?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a Ninja Turtles guy.
That's right.
And I'm a Ninja Turtles.
Donnie?
No. So As a child, yes.
Yes.
As an adult,
Raph?
No, it's Michelangelo.
Oh, well, he's a party dude. Everybody loves him.
He's a party dude, and this is true. But the reason that I love Michelangelo is that he is the most emotionally intelligent turtle. He knows what people are going through. He knows what they need in a way that the rest of them can't register. Leonardo, he's like duty bound. Donatello, his head is stuck in the computer. Raphael, hormones. But Michelangelo, he knows what other people are into, and he can like tap into that.
That's a great reason to stand for Mikey.
He's a great guy, and I just love him to death.
Is there a game on this collection, or two, that you want to highlight that you are most excited to go back to? Because I also have nostalgia for a handful of them, and I'd love to hear from you.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm very excited. So this collection has a rewind function to it, so that yes. Connor, I know.
You know exactly what I'm thinking.
You're thinking of the dam level in the original Super Mario, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
So that you can actually get past the swimming portion of the game, which is notoriously difficult.
Yes.
And there are, speaking of just like roadblocks in video games, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 is a mostly bad, occasionally brilliant, and occasionally devastatingly hard game. And if you can sort of cheese your way through the devastatingly difficult, you can get to those high highs of like the absolutely brilliant parts and just stomach the not as great parts of it. So I'm excited to replay the original game with the rewind feature.
I gotta say, I did not expect this to be your answer, and I'm so thrilled to hear it, because this is one that I just threw my tiny Connor body at as a kid countless times, because I thought I maybe this time would get past that level, and I never did. I now am aware of not a hack, but an easier way to cheese your way through, but I would assume it's still difficult.
I mean, it's as a kid, I did throw my little body at it, and I was able to beat the swimming section without losing any of the turtles.
Wow.
So I would go into the third level with all 4 turtles.
That's incredible.
Usually one of them is at pretty low health at that point, but that's okay. And the third level of that game is where it reveals itself to be like a very interesting, almost open world kind of game because you're just like in a big city and you have to go into little areas to collect missiles that you use in the turtle van to clear out roadblocks and access new areas.
Am I gonna have to get this game?
I don't.
This
I mean,
collection?
You might.
Because I do. I mean, I love the original arcade that was on the NES. I have like this a weird moment in time that is frozen in my brain of playing one of the Game Boy games that I think is not very good. But I also am a Turtles guy, so this is sounding good. Do you know what's the retail price for this bad boy?
It's $40.
Okay.
And I believe there are a dozen games in here.
Okay.
Some of them are basically repeats,
Yeah.
right? Because there's the NES version of the arcade game and the arcade game.
Okay.
And then there's also the Super NES version of Turtles in Time
And
the
Hyperstone
arcade.
Heist?
Yes, well, the Hyperstone Heist Genesis game is a different game.
Yes.
And then there's also the arcade version of Turtles in Time as well.
That's exciting.
So some of these games have online support, so you can play them online with friends, but it's just the 2 arcade games, the Hyperstone Heist, and the Super NES version of TMNT Tournament Fighters, which is like the good one. All 3 versions of Tournament Fighters, Genesis, NES, and Super NES, are totally different games with totally different rosters, totally different movesets, totally different combat mechanics.
Wow.
And the Super NES one is the one that like shows up at fighting game tournaments.
If this just would have been out last Tuesday, we would have been playing it Saturday.
We would have been playing it. I know. Well, we'll just have to do it again, Connor.
I guess we will.
But so I'm unreasonably excited about this game, about this collection coming out. And yeah, it's a day one purchase for me.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Connor. All right, let's close out this segment. Which brings us to a regular segment on the show. It is time for 433. In 1992, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance, 433, Connor and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Connor, we are going to be drafting a fast food menu.
Wonderful.
So anything that we can justify as fast food, can go on right. Can go on our menus, and then at the end we will compete our restaurants against each other.
I love it.
The restaurants are going to be the only food options at an underwater oil rig, like in the abyss.
I love this already.
Okay, so it's separated from the rest of reality. People can go up and down, but only if they can go through the like decompression thing. So when they're down there, they want the comforts of home. Connor, would you like to select first, or would you like to select second?
I selfishly would like to select first.
Are we doing a snake draft?
Let's do a snake.
Let's do a snake.
So you would get back-to-back picks here.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So with my first pick, I've got to go with my all-time favorite fast food item, the cheesy gordita crunch from Taco Bell.
Oh, Connor. Okay. All right. This is tough and hard fought, and I'm mad already.
Was that your first pick?
So
or just up there?
It was gonna be. It for sure was gonna be up there. I'm not gonna write any of this down. We just gotta have to remember.
I saw you trying.
I know it's hard to type with one hand and hold the microphone with the other. Yeah, cheesy gordita crunch is such a good and like I don't eat meat. Right? So, but doing it with like a potato substitution, perfect.
Wow.
Doing
it
with beans instead of meat, like perfect.
Incredible.
So now I get 2 picks here, right? First, I'm gonna go with a classic. It's a meal that I can't eat. Not a meal, but an item that I can't eat because I don't eat meat.
Yeah.
But the Big Mac, man.
Classic.
Big Mac is a classic. It's tall. It's not. Thing is, it's like a big burger, but it's not really a big burger. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
That you can finish it and be like, oh yeah, I could also have some fries too.
Yeah, they do definitely. It feels
crazy.
like some optical illusions are going on there with the size.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. Okay, now I have to pick another
item.
The Frosty. The Wendy's Frosty.
And I think you should any flavor that comes with it. Like you get the machine.
Yes, that's right. I get the whole Frosty machine, and it works.
Yes.
Thank you. Actually, the Frosty machines don't break down the same way that like a McDonald's ice cream machine does, right?
Not that I've experienced, no. I've definitely gotten a no from McDonald's a lot more than Wendy's.
You always get a no from McDonald's.
That's the standard.
But Wendy's, do you think they just have like a backup machine in there? They just have one more machine?
I think what they have is integrity.
I think you're right, Connor.
Incredible picks by you. For my second pick, I need a burger item there, and I don't really care about my patrons. I care about what I want, and that is the ultimate cheeseburger from Jack in the Box.
Whoa.
It's somewhat...
What's on the ultimate cheeseburger?
So it also has... Well, it has 2 buns, so it's a bun. It is mayo and mustard, 2 patties, 2 slices of cheddar cheese, more mayo and mustard, and it's on a sesame seed bun.
Yeah, it's pretty
and
good.
It's
you said
really good.
2 buns. Does that mean there's a middle bun?
I almost said that incorrectly. There's just the standard top and
Very
bottom.
good. Very good.
Yeah. So a big, greasy, nasty burger. I had one before seeing you Friday. I was like, if I'm going to enjoy a beverage this evening, it's a good choice. So that, and then I'm going to go with Panda Express orange chicken.
Oh, dang.
I got to have that on the menu.
That's a coup. I'm finished. I don't know how I come back from this, Connor. This is embarrassing.
If there's a will, there's a way.
Okay. All right. That's a great pick. The orange chicken is, I mean, honestly, if everything else at Panda Express disappeared and I was still in a place where they would be okay. Absolutely. Okay. So now back to me. It's tough because I missed the like spicy chicken sandwich war because I don't eat them. I don't eat meat. I'm really kind of overall at a disadvantage here not eating meat.
Yes, you are. But again, you could be selfless unlike me, and this could be for your patrons.
That's true. But the thing is, I don't even know which spicy chicken sandwich to pick then.
I think go with the first one you think of, so you have
Popeyes.
Popeyes.
Oh, that's a perfect Popeye spicy chicken sandwich. Wow. Even though I do love the Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich, or my memory of it at any rate. Not Chick-fil-A. Oh, geez. Okay, we're interrupted, and that's the end of it.
We each got 3 items.
We each got 3 items. I think we did good.
I think we did great.
I think anyone would be happy to eat at either of our restaurants.
They'd be lucky.
Except for maybe vegetarians.
Yeah, they'd be...
They can eat at yours, though. They can eat that cheesy gordita crunch.
There we go.
Just sub out the... what did I say?
The ground beef.
Yeah, potatoes. All right, Connor, we were accompanied today by Malverker, which is Ariane Yesolt, Henrik Karras, Christian Keston, Steffi, and Steffi Weissman. Oh, okay.
Of course.
Let's get into the news. In anticipation of the remake of Resident Evil 4, Japanese Resident Evil YouTube page has been sharing discussions between series director Shinji Mikami and producer Jun Takeuchi. Takeuchi? There we go. While the remake is not expected to release on Switch, a familiar name did pop up in their discussion of the original Resident Evil 4's camera, Super Smash Bros. Director Masahiro Sakurai. So it's a weird name drop, and I just thought I would read it because it's funny that 2 legendary game directors feel the need to, or at least 1 legendary director and producer, to drop the name of Masahiro Sakurai. Mikami goes, quote, "The first person who praised the camera system in Resident Evil 4 was actually Masahiro Sakurai, the guy who makes Smash Brothers."
Just in case you don't know.
You know, the guy who makes Smash Brothers. I love that. I love it when like professionals in the industry, you know, are just like, oh yeah, you know, the guy who does this. It's very funny. He came back to the quote. He came to check out the game in development and asked, who came up with this camera system? Hey, that was me. That's Mikami responding. And then Sakurai says, "This is great." Whoa, really? I responded. So a great story from Shinji Mikami where Masahiro Sakurai was like, this camera's rad.
I'm going to start feeling less embarrassed about including flattering details of anecdotes people share about me because Mikami is quite easy to do it here, and it's showing well.
Yeah, I think it shows well. It's the reason that we're talking about this at all. You ever think about the camera in Resident Evil 4? Are you a Resident Evil 4'sman?
The only Resident Evil I have even touched is Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. But I'm familiar with 4 and would love to play it someday.
4 is great. I wonder if the remake, when it comes out, will hold the same sort of like camera angle. So it's a little bit of a classic third-person over-the-shoulder camera, but it is tighter, right? One of the things that was happening as Resident Evil was transitioning into like newer generations of hardware is that they were leaving behind the fixed camera of the like early PlayStation and I guess just all those PlayStation games, where it was like pre-rendered backgrounds and just a still camera, and the camera would like jump to another location as you like progress through the space. And it was a little bit different in Code Veronica, where it was no longer pre-rendered backgrounds, and occasionally the camera would like pan a little bit, but it's still like very focused on not being right behind the character and really just being a more cinematic presentation, right?
Yeah, and that's how, I mean, I've gotten to see a lot of clips of this game over the years, and do you know how close or similar it is to how the remakes function now, like 2 and 3?
Pretty similar. I mean,
Okay.
the camera's a little bit freer in the newer games, where just you have like kind of ultimate control over it, right?
Gotcha.
Like you just, I mean,
That makes sense, of course.
right? Yeah, just that we've gotten to a place where third-person camera controls are pretty standard. Like
Yeah.
you get your fingers on the sticks and you can like just feel it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, in Resident Evil 4, because the GameCube kind of had twin sticks, but not
Yeah.
really, that it was just like always over your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And it was tight, right? So that you still had that sort of like claustrophobic feeling, even though the game itself is a little bit more open by Resident Evil standards. So like it is a both an extremely functional camera and one that is like thematically consistent with what the game is trying to accomplish. So like it is brilliant. It's just very funny that Mikami has to like brag about it by dropping Sakurai's name.
I'm so glad he did.
I'm so glad he did. He goes on to talk about when they were approached by the Gears of War developers while they were working on Lost Planet, a 360 game, and they were asked why they weren't using the same camera as Resident Evil 4, and to which Mikami replies, we were like, well, it's a completely different game, unquote.
To which the Gears of War developers were like, well, then we'll use it.
We will use it, and it'll be to mixed results, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. It's such a, especially as far as Resident Evil is concerned, it's such a unique camera that by the time they get to like 5 and 6 and the games are a little bit more action focused, that like the camera is like out a little bit more and you have to have more control over it to like engage in the action. 4 was still like wanted you to be freer, but still also wanted you to be freaked out in the same way that you were in the original games. So it's a cool compromise. I'm glad they get to talk about it.
Good for them.
Speaking of Mr. Sakurai, last week he finally completed his task of posting one Smash Brothers screenshot every day, which is a project that he'd kept up on Twitter for years, just absolute years and years, well before Super Smash Bros. Ultimate came out. In its place, Sakurai launched a YouTube channel devoted to the craft of game design and his experience over the years. Connor, have you gotten a chance to check out his YouTube channel at all?
I have. I don't know if there's more than the first Kirby's Dreamland video that he released originally, but I did tune in for watching part of that before work one day.
Yeah, it seems like it could be interesting.
Yes.
He's aiming for short videos, not running ads. So like, you know, he's not like a video essayist, you know, who's going to do these long. He's not going to tell you the 5.5 hours of what's wrong with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. He's going to tell you in short little bursts about games that he's worked on, which is very cool. Nintendo is not involved in this, but he evidently has gotten permission to share stuff about Smash development, which is cool.
That's very exciting.
Because Smash is a museum, basically,
Yes.
and you know, seeing how a museum is. Would that be fun to see how a museum is put together?
No, but maybe, but the museum showing me what it wants to present. Now that I'm interested in,
Right, which is just going to a museum.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll take it.
The first video that's up there is great. He used it to share some early design documents for his initial pitch on Kirby's Dreamland, and it's just like adorable drawings of Kirby doing the kinds of things that you would expect Kirby to do. Totally recommend checking it out. He uses the term mouthful in his pitch doc.
Amazing.
Which, you know, comes back
Here we
later.
are.
Yeah, in Kirby's Kirby and the Forgotten Land, mouthful mode.
Gosh.
Not being used in the same way here, of course, but a really cool piece of history. And I grabbed this screen grab that has all these things on it. And the copy at the bottom of the screen says, I was 19 when I wrote this initial proposal.
Goodness gracious.
19.
When I was 19, I was like, well, I guess I should take some classes in my major.
Oh boy, not me. 19, I was working at Hollywood Video.
Oh, now we're talking.
I would go to college, real college, the next year.
There we go.
But yeah, no, it's weird to encounter someone with that much focus early in their life.
Or at any point.
Yes. Sonic Frontiers has a release date. The
Wow.
date, which was revealed at Gamescom, is November 8th. There's also a new story trailer, which I'm not going to make us deal with. I'm not subjecting us to that. But from Sega's PR, quote, "Worlds will collide in Sonic the Hedgehog's newest adventure. An experience like never before. Accelerate to new heights and experience the thrill of high-velocity, open zone freedom. Battle powerful enemies as you speed through Starfall Islands. Landscapes brimming with dense forests, overflowing waterfalls, sizzling deserts, and more. This holiday 2022, journey into new realms."
Now,
Unquote.
I am so interested to see how this game does. I don't
Yes.
personally have any plans to get it. I haven't actually even been engaging with much of the promotional material they have been throwing out there. But you know what? I want to live in a world where everything here is exactly as is. I want this to be fantastic.
I want to be able to believe this. I don't know that I do. It's there is a look. Game of Thrones is back. We all just have to accept it. That we live in a world where House of the Dragon has brought Game of Thrones back. But there's a thing in Game of Thrones that whenever a Targaryen is born, the gods flip a coin, and the coin decides whether that Targaryen will be a crazy monster or a benevolent ruler.
Yeah.
And I feel like every time a Sonic game is released, the gods flip a coin.
It's been a lot of tales for
It's
Sonic.
been a lot of tales for Sonic.
I'll say.
So yeah, I don't know. I do not know what to expect of this game. I do. One of the things from the copy here from Sega's PR, which just rubbed me the wrong way. Sizzling deserts. Does that track to you as like rhetoric that works? Because like sizzling implies some degree of moisture.
Like, are we gonna? Yeah, that wasn't gonna be my issue with it. I was gonna be like, are things cooking here? I don't know, but which implies moisture.
Which implies moisture. Like when you order the fajitas, you're at TGI Fridays,
Yes.
and you order the fajitas, and they come on a hot plate, and that plate is like kicking up it's sizzling,
Yeah.
right? That's because there's some wet onions and like red peppers on there. That's what's happening. They're wet.
You know what? I didn't have an issue with the copy until now, and I'm gonna call someone at Sega.
Thank you, Connor.
You're welcome.
Nintendo had previously announced that they would be attending PAX West in this year, 2022, which will be held next weekend in Seattle. But we now have a clearer idea of what that's going to look like. No surprise, it's all about Splatoon 3. So I pulled a little bits of language from their PR as well. So the rocks of the new Scorch Gorge stage will be appearing as backdrops within the booth, which is being transformed into scenes inspired by the sun-scorched Splatlands.
Now that sounds like a desert.
That does, doesn't it? Sun-scorched Splatlands. There's no sizzle happening there.
No.
Too dry. But so the reason I really wanted to call this out is that that sounds like an E3 move, right? Like
It does.
Nintendo like transforming the space to almost make it a theme park like experience of these giant rocks. It kind of sounds like Galaxy's Edge.
It does.
Black Spire Outpost.
This also has me thinking, did they start to craft or have plans to make some of this stuff for E3 and be like, actually, we're not going?
Oh, that
and
could
then,
be.
But hey, those few rocks we made, let's bring them to PAX.
Yeah, we can just bring them, like 1,000 miles north.
That should be easy.
from LA to Seattle. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great...
Maybe.
Connor, I love this theory.
Possible.
It's at the very least, it's possible.
Yes.
Let's see. People can also stop by to play a demo of multiplayer turf war battles. You do need a warp pipe pass in order to do that, but registration for that is already closed. It closed on the 29th. So if you are hearing this news now and thinking that you'll sign up for it, it's too late. I'm sorry.
Now, if you go to the website and try, you can't blame us. We have told you.
That's right. There's a disclaimer. We cannot be held responsible here. The Nintendo Splatoon 3 booth will also include real-life photo opportunities, and I'm not sure what that means.
I don't understand.
Is it like a wooden cutout of like an inkling, and there's like a hole in the face?
Maybe
you
that's
put your face in there.
Maybe the distinction they are making is that we have physical objects there. This won't be like a digital picture that you're taking where it's like, oh, there's the standard,
Right.
as if these were digital, I guess.
Well, or even in-game pictures too, because there is a photo mode within Splatoon 3. So maybe that's the distinction that they're drawing.
Okay, maybe.
But a cool thing, check it out if you are headed up to PAX West this weekend. Denuvo, best known for anti-tampering and DRM software on PC, has announced, quote, a revolutionary technology to protect games launching on the Nintendo Switch from piracy. It's unclear, Connor, to me exactly how this works or where they are preventing piracy. From reading a lot of their materials around this, it sounds like they're trying to protect or stop people from pirating games on emulators. So that if you are playing a Switch game on an emulator, you also have the actual copy of the game.
Okay.
But I don't know how you can possibly do that.
I don't either. I before we had discussed this or talked about this topic, I had heard just some whispers about it, and it was just confusing to me.
Yes. Yeah, I'm just
I
not
don't
sure.
know.
It's also a little unclear who Denuvo is working with, though they are reportedly not working with or for Nintendo. But the nature of like NDAs means that they can't actually announce who their publishing partners are. Yeah, but like who but Nintendo would be concerned with people emulating Nintendo Switch games on not Switch hardware?
I couldn't tell you.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Nintendo or Denuvo has also acknowledged that they've acknowledged the nature of the Switch being handheld, and therefore recognize that the DRM features can't be like always online to be checking that you have the license, and they have like another way to do it. But again, this is where I just don't understand the technology.
Me neither. And this probably has nothing to do with it, but as someone who not unintentionally had to get a new Switch within the last year, and a Switch that my previous one I no longer had access to,
Right.
I had to jump through a lot of hoops to get my Switch to function as the primary Switch under my account, meaning that I, for a while, had to be on the internet every time I tried to play a digital game that I owned.
Which is super annoying.
Yes, even if I bought it on that Switch.
Really?
Yeah.
Even if you buy it on that? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was frustrating.
So I imagine this will just create further headaches
Probably.
for people who are not trying to pirate stuff.
Yeah.
And the people who do want to pirate stuff, they find ways around.
Yeah.
This, I don't know. It's this feels like it's going to be a little bit of a bummer. But since they're not reportedly working with Nintendo, maybe it won't truly matter that much. Like, are they just protecting like Octopath Traveler or something? Like, what's happening?
Gotta protect Octopath.
Protect Octopath at all costs. Maybe wrong to classify this little bit as a news item, but Square Enix has released the third and likely final trailer for Dragon Quest X Offline. Sorry, that was just my autopilot taking over. I started to say Dragon Quest.
The full title was about to come out of your mouth.
It was about to come out of my mouth. I held it back like I was going to vomit.
Yes.
And my eyes bugged out. But I worked through it. Dragon Quest X Offline. The game is due out in Japan on September 15th, which is just a couple weeks away at this point, with no announced plans to localize it anywhere. Connor, are you a Dragon's Questman at all?
I have the most Dragon Quest I've ever done has been playing Earthbound. And that is the extent of it. But
Yeah.
I will say for the longest time, and you've even pitched to me trying 11S Echoes of Elusive Age Definitive Edition for Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
I only can do that because I've heard you and Mark repeat it so many times. I'm definitely interested. I think I would really like the series, but haven't even touched it.
Yeah, so 10 was the game that was originally their MMO,
Yeah.
right? And that was never localized outside of Japan. And then this 10 Offline is like it's the story content of the MMO, but made into a single player game. And the art is like cuter and chibi and like very appealing. But they're not gonna localize it either.
Wow, I guess the door shuts on that.
Yeah, they just keep shutting the door on it. They're like, the West, you don't get
No.
Dragon Quest X.
disappointing
It is disappointing.
for anyone but me, basically.
Well, I think there are a lot of people who don't track this or care about it at all. But as a recent convert to the Dragon Quest series, I just wish I had access to this game.
Yeah,
I think it'd be fun, Connor.
you deserve access to it.
I agree.
Yes.
And finally, we have the results of the first ever Splatoon 3 Splatfest, the theme of which, of course, was rock, paper, and scissors. Connor, are you ready to hear the results? We're going to discuss the results from the Americas.
I'm thrilled.
Okay, so the final results are... The winner is Team Rock.
Wow.
Which, as a reminder, I was Team Paper. Team Paper came in second place with 10 points overall. Team Rock had 25 points. Team Scissors, no points whatsoever. The way that these break down is Team Rock had the most votes, so the most people on the team. 42.7% of all players picked Team Rock. 42.7%. And then Team Scissors is in second place with 40.26%. And then Team Paper, my team, 17.02%.
We've already sort of discussed today how throwing a third team in there sort of throws off that potential balance. But I'm still surprised that such a familiar trio of, I guess, items or options that it's not more even.
Because it's almost like, what is anyone basing any of these decisions on?
Yeah, I guess power and machismo.
With Rock, actually,
and
you're right. Rock
too,
and
I
Scissors are
think.
both inherently more violent things.
I like to think I would go with paper.
I did Paper, but I was pretending that it was a money thing, right? So I was equally being a rotten dude in picking mine. I wonder if because picking Rock and Rock Paper Scissors, I feel like is at least partially a joke.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Simpsons joke where Bart always chooses Rock, and that's how Lisa beats him by knowing that he always picks Rock. Job on Arrested Development, he always throws Rock, and Michael knows this. So I think there's something out there where the comedy writers have decided that Rock is the funniest thing to throw.
We're seeing that play out
and
right
we're seeing
here.
it play out in real
Whether
life.
they know it or not.
Yeah, that's what's happening. These people have been brainwashed, Connor. And then the clout, which is, the actual winning in matches. On the open level, Team Rock came in first place with 37.03%. Team Paper with 29.89%. That's third place, I guess, and Team Scissors with 33.06%. But when it comes to the clout in pro mode, Team Paper was in first place with 34.91%. And then it's a real nail biter there. Team Rock in second place with 32.76%, and Team Scissors with 33.32%. So when it comes down to the pro level play, that's where Team Paper was in the lead. And let me tell you, I did not do the pro level playing.
Because that's why Paper ended up with 10 points, was because that's
right.
The entirety of what they got.
Yeah,
okay,
that's right.
Gotcha.
Was that pro?
Hey,
category.
You know what? Who knows? With a little practice, Patrick.
With a little practice, I think Team Paper can come back. Probably not. That's the last time Team Paper will be assembled as. I have a hard time thinking of different 3-part things to pit against each other. In a Splatfest like this.
I would love if they did it, stayed Nintendo and did Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle.
Oh my god, they could do every starter like that.
They could do any. So there's sort of, not endless, but I don't know, 10 generations of Pokemon to do.
Yeah.
They could do that. They could do Wisdom, Power, Courage.
Oh yeah. I'm just not thinking hard enough here.
No.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit?
They better do that one every time.
Europe and Japan also had Rock winning in every one of these. So Rock wins globally. Weird, right?
Dang, that is so strange.
Splatoon 3 launches on September 9th, and nothing from this Splatfest carries over, unless, of course, they built some sort of future story element out of the Splatfest, which they have done in the past. I always forget which one is which and how the actual Splatfest went, but the final Splatfest of the original Splatoon was Callie versus Marie, the two idols against each other. And then at the beginning of the Splatoon 2, one of them was missing.
Oh, no.
And that was affected by how that tournament played out.
I wonder if they would do the same thing at the final Splatfest for Splatoon 3 between the 3 stars now.
Oh, and
or
then
idols.
and only 2 of the idols would remain, and they would be like broken down versions of themselves who have lost their third pillar.
Look forward to Splatoon 4 on the Nintendo
It
Switch
sounds dark.
in 2026.
All right, Connor, let's get out of the news. Ugh, jeez. Connor McCabe, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Is there anything that you would like to plug at this moment?
Absolutely. I'd love to plug my podcast, the one that I host, Call Me By Your Game. It's a nostalgic, warm, feel-good show where I have someone on to hear about a meaningful video game from their past. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm at Connor with an ER _ McCabe. But that's about it for me. Thank you for having me.
Call Me By Your Game, a great show that is talking about games in a way that no one else is talking about games on podcasts or in games media, because it's all about an individual's very specific experience of that game.
You know what? Thank you for saying that. And it's true. It's really what I really enjoy about it is having someone on and hearing what was meaningful to them. And we don't just have people like Patrick and I who have made games a fraction of our personality. I have people who maybe just have a relationship with a few games in their lives, but that one is really fond to them from some day in their past. So yeah, it's fun. Give it a listen. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I would almost argue that it's like a biographical podcast.
That's really accurate.
That is like wrapped around a central just video game as a topic.
Yes,
but like you're interested in learning what that person was like when they played that game.
Definitely.
Why it was important to them, who was important to them.
Yeah.
It's just a very good show, Connor.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Please remember to rate, review, and follow us on Apple Podcasts. If you like the episode, you should share it on Facebook or Twitter, wherever you share stuff. We appreciate it when you do. That helps us out. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick _Ellers. Connor is at
Connor _ McCabe.
There we go. On Twitter, and the show is at NinCart Society. You can check out the Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Connor McCabe, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.